Hello, in this video we will look at the nervous system, generally overview of the nervous system we will discuss here. So basically is the nervous system contain a central nervous system. Here is the brain and spinal cord. And on the other hand, the peripheral nervous system, which that is contain neurons throughout our body. So efferent and afferent nerves fiber. So here is the nervous system. Let's begin to understand with the detail. So here is that central nervous system is made up of brain and spinal cord, while the peripheral nervous system is made up of uh, uh, sensory and motor division, which that is arise from the spinal cord. So here is the sensory and motor division. So let's begin to understand with the somatic nervous system as well as autonomic nervous system, which that is further classified of the peripheral nervous system. This somatic nervous system is basically made up of voluntary control, and it is afferent division and efferent division. Afferent means the sensory and efferent means the motor division for the muscle contraction, and the afferent means the sensory, which that is sensation of pain as well as the sensation of touch or other throughout the skin. So here is the autonomic nervous system is made up of sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. So here we will cover the sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system increase heart rate due to the fight and flight response. So the input of the blood is increased while the fight and flight response will be occur, and it means it consume much energy. So the consumption of energy and the metabolism will be increased. So the hormonal changes will be increased. For example, adrenaline and noradrenaline from the adrenal gland. While in the case of parasympathetic nervous system, which that is response the rest and digest, and heartbeat will be slow down and less ATP consumption as compared to the sympathetic nervous system. So this here is a somatic nervous system we will discuss here. The somatic nervous system is made up of nerve fiber. So let's begin to understand. Here is the sensory nerve, which that is synapse. To synapse mean the pathway for the sensation through a synapse. So the neuron we will discuss first. The soma is here, which that is the dendrites will synapse together to conduction and increase the nerve impulse to another nerves. So here is a parasympathetic neuron, presynaptic neuron, which that is after the depolarization, the calcium will stimulate to increase the neurotransmitter acetylcholine or other. So this acetylcholine will bind with the acetylcholine receptor to increase the sodium move influx of the sodium, and create the action potential through potassium sodium exchange by a postsynaptic neuron from presynaptic neuron. So this is the synapse, is the basically is the nerve to nerve conduction through synapse. So here is somatic nervous system is basically divided into the afferent division and efferent division. So the afferent division is basically the sensory nerves, which that is carry the information from the skin or some organs toward the central nervous system, while the efferent division, which that is carry the signal from the nervous system to away from the nervous system to the muscle for contraction and give response. So this is the output. So in this way the ganglion are present, that is the collection of nerve nuclei. So this nerve nuclei basically is the collection of the collection of the soma, which that is create the ganglia, and this ganglia can be dorsal and ventral root of ganglion in the peripheral nervous system. So here we will discuss about the action potential, that is the saltatory conduction is important to understand, which that is basically the synapse, electrical conduction through node to node due to the node of Ranvier due to the myelinated cell. So here is the skin I am drawing here to understand the sensation of something, and which gives the response by the neuromuscular junction to contract muscle. This is the effector, while the effector is the skin. Here is the stimulus, different type of stimulus. For example, the touch, pressure, that is through a Merkel cell, while the pressure, high pressure, through a Raffini ending, and the tapping just is through a another. So this is the basically the different type of receptors. These are present in the skin, lower epidermis or upper epidermis. So you can see, and here is the hair, which that is also sense the some information. So here is the Pacinial corpuscle, which that is used for the vibration. So the vibration. And here important thing is that the Merkel cell, which that is near the skin and basically is light touch, while the high pressure touch or vibration, which that is Raffini ending, and the vibration is Pacinian corpuscle. So this is the nerve ending receptor. This nerve ending receptor will receive the information from the skin toward the central nervous system. So this is the neuron and go into the sensory neuron toward the central nervous system here. So after the receiving of the nerve impulse by the electrical conduction and through synapse as well as the saltatory conduction or simple conduction, which that is increased, which that is give the input, and this is input move toward the central nervous system into the thalamus to the cerebral cortex, which that is detect the where is the area. So here is the backward after the output is through a descending path, but the sensory is the ascending path. So output will give the sensory motor neuron division. So this is the efferent division, and this is the peripheral neuron system, which that is consist of sensory neuron division and motor neuron. So the effector as well as effector. Basically, the effector is the sensory neuron division, while the motor neuron is the effector. So let's draw here is the structure of the neuromuscular junction, which that is the neuromuscular junction is the synaptic cleft are present between the nerve ending and the muscle for the muscle contraction by the depolarization of the muscle cell. So here important thing is that neuroglial cell are also present, which that is the 50% is the neuroglial cell and more, which that is give the myelination of the axon as well as give the nutrition. So this cell is very important as a sportive function. So this provides the nutrition. So let's begin to understand the neuromuscular junction. Neuromuscular junction mean the synaptic cleft or synapse between the muscle and neuron. So here is the muscle, which that is after the releasing of the acetylcholine to the myocyte, or basically is for the contraction. So here is you can see the simple diagram to understand. Here is the nerve and bulb. This nerve and bulb after the depolarization of the sodium potassium ATPase pump, which that is allowed to trigger the calcium move inside to stimulate the acetylcholine neurotransmitter to efflux outside exocytosis, and this exocytosis will bind with the acetylcholine receptor to sodium move inside, and this move to action potential into the T-tubule system. So it is the T-tubule, and this T-tubule will stimulate the calcium move inside through a calcium channel, basically to stimulate the sarcoplasmic reticulum to efflux of the calcium into the cytoplasm or sarcoplasm to bind with the troponin to contraction of the muscle. So this is the effector, while the effector is the sensory. So this was the peripheral nervous system, that is the mechanism. So let's draw a central nervous system to understand what is that. And here is the cross section of the brain we will discuss first, and we will also understand the brain stem and spinal cord because it is all is the central nervous system. So here is the midbrain, pons and medulla. This midbrain and pons and medulla is the major path for the sensation. So let's draw here is the spinal cord cross section. This is the inside is the spinal cord is the central nervous system, while the ganglion, dorsal root of ganglion is here, and the ventral root of ganglion is for use for the motor division, and the dorsal root of ganglion is a sensory division. So this is the dorsal horn of gray matter. This is the dorsal horn of gray matter. And here is the ventral horn of gray matter is looking like this here. So this is the central nervous system, and here is the peripheral nervous system, which that is made up of ganglion as well as efferent and afferent neurons. So let's draw here is the basically the fasciculus gracilis, which that is inside pathway, and the touch, it is used for the touch, pressure and vibration, while the fasciculus cuneatus is the lateral, which that is used for the balance and proprioceptor, the proprioception. So let's draw here is the sensory neuron, which sends the signal of the pressure. So it moves from the fasciculus gracilis toward the medulla and the nucleus of gracilis, and toward upward is the medial lemniscus pathway. But in the case of spinal cord, the gray matter is inside. But the important thing is that the gray matter is the outside in the cerebral cortex of the brain. So the cerebral cortex, before the movement into the thalamus to move, send the signal toward the motor cortex, and this motor cortex will transmit the signal through motor neuron via a descending pathway. But here is the ascending pathway, which that is contain a first order neuron, second order neuron and third order neuron. And this is the central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. So I hope you make sense and enjoy this video. Please make sure to subscribe, like and share this video.